Hi, I'm Jonathan Bardzik and welcome to my kitchen. I just got back from a wonderful week up in Massachusetts with my parents and came home to a pretty empty fridge. Jason did not do a lot of shopping while he was gone there. There is not much in the house except, of course, farm fresh butter. There is always farm fresh butter. So I am not going to cook with you today, but I am going to talk about some things that are always here, and that includes dirty dishes. When I got home last night, I went out and met Jason, some friends of ours, for happy hour, and we were hungry afterwards, so we stopped by a grocery store and I picked up a few ingredients to make some quick late night tacos. And I have a messy pan. I often get asked, how do I keep my stainless pans so clean? This one doesn't look like it at the moment, but I figured I will show you how to clean a pan. So for starters, I soaked it in water, and soaking does magic things for loosening up dirt. You'll see a lot of this is already going to come right off just like that. So I soaked that overnight. I know a lot of you probably love going to bed with your dishes done, but this is one of those times where you can leave a few things sitting in the sink overnight. You'll see there is still a little bit of mess, right? There's some things that are kind of cooked on the bottom. I have a little bit of a mark from the gas flame. So how do I get rid of that? Well, I use a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend. It's a slightly abrasive product. I want to put it in with almost no moisture. You don't need to dry off your pan, but you want your pan fairly dry. I squeezed out my sponge, and I'm just gonna scrub this around using the scrubby side of my sponge here, and that will get all of this off. If you have pans where you have really cooked on some of that fat, you know how sometimes you have the fat up on the side of the pan that just feels cooked on, it can take me up to 2 or 3 minutes of scrubbing, reapplications of the Barkeeper's Friend to really get that pan clean. And I always turn it over. We'll add a little bit more on here, and we'll give that a good scrubbing too, and you'll see we'll get our pan nice and sparkling, except of course right around the handle. That always gets darker over time. Find that a little harder to clean. Get up in around the ridge. So you may be wondering, with all this work that I'm putting into cleaning a pan, why don't I just get non-stick? And there's a reason that I use regular stainless pans like this. Anytime I'm doing a demo and I haul out a regular stainless pan, I feel like I always see at least one face out there in the crowd that's looking a little sad for me, and they're thinking, why didn't he just use non-stick? He's gonna have such a mess to clean up later. The trick, of course, is that you actually want all that brown stuff cooked onto the pan. That is caramelization, and that is pure flavor. And the trick is to get it back into the dish, not scrub it down the sink later. So the way that we do that is by deglazing, if you've ever seen that term in a recipe before. And it simply means that you add some water to the pan, or chicken stock, or white wine, brandy, vinegar, and as it bubbles away, you scrape all those brown bits up and you get that flavor back into your dish. So that is how we keep a pan clean. And again, the reason that I use stainless like this rather than non-stick is because the stainless is going to get me better caramelization than a non-stick pan will. But I have a non-stick pan. In fact, I just went out while I was home and grabbed a new one this week. And let me show it to you. I keep it over here. If you watched my video last weekend, you saw me making an omelet for my husband Jason, and I had heated up the pan a little too much. The butter went in, it browned immediately. And I mentioned that while it will still taste delicious, I love a good American diner omelet, right? The kind of pick 3 fillings, and it comes out thick and kind of brown on the outside. It's delicious on a weekend morning. But I wanted a French omelet. The French omelet is a little more delicate. It is pale, no browning at all to it. And I was reading up on how to make one, and it said, you need a super non-stick skillet. This is the skillet you only use for omelets, and you'll probably find that you need to replace it every 2 years, even if you're just making omelets and you're using a plastic fork and other rubber utensils to cook in it. That coating will still degrade over that amount of time. Most of the other pans that I have cost north of $100 a piece, although I love hitting TJ Maxx and finding a deal every once in a while. But this pan, knowing that I'm going to need a new one every 2 years, I went to a discount store. I bought a $20 pan, and this was the more expensive one. I found a $14 one, but it felt a little light. And if a pan is too light, the heat isn't going to distribute evenly, and you'll have hot spots, and you'll end up with some browning. So I got something with a little bit of weight, nice and cheap. This is just the right size for a 2-egg omelet, and every single one came out perfectly this week. I store it right over here on top so that nothing goes inside it, so I also make sure that no other pans getting stored inside it degrade that nonstick finish. That is it for this week. If you want to see more of me, check into my social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. It's at Jonathan Bardzik. On Tuesday night, we're going to have the first test kitchen of 2019. I know, how did it get to be March already without doing one of these? But we're going to test a few recipes that I will be doing on television later this March. And so I would like it while you're there, if you would please follow both Facebook and Instagram for me. Be greatly appreciated. Thank you. I hope you have a week that is full of joy, especially when you're in the kitchen.